Hello and welcome to you all. Thank you to you all for joining us tonight. We have some staff and volunteers and trustees. Give us a wave, guys. We're all in Zoom land at the moment. And for the rest of you that are joining us, many, many more of you, hopefully tucked up with a cuppa watching us on YouTube. So ordinarily, we would hold some form of gathering for our volunteers. And as we all know, it's 2020 and there is a slight problem of a pandemic, which is preventing us from doing that. But we really wanted to find some way of having a proper way of celebrating our volunteers. So here we are. 2020 has been an extraordinary year. We've almost doubled in size as Bread and Butter. We've opened yet another 15 hubs, as well as a new warehouse in the Northeast, serving the Tees Valley and County Durham. But the big thing that's really shone through for us in 2020 has been our volunteers, and specifically how they've really supported their communities as well as our communities. So I want to introduce Jane, who is going to talk us through some of the stats of what we've actually managed to achieve this year. Fiona, can you put the slide up?
So this slide is something we wanted to show you about the amazing numbers that all our volunteers have been part of this year, and also what it's made it possible for us to do. In 2020 so far, you have given us 24,600 volunteering hours. You have packed bags, helped socially distanced queues, tidied up after delivery, driven vans to collect food, loaded vans, cleaned the warehouse, and generally helped us manage. And many of you, probably all of you, will know that we had to change everything back in April because all of our community hubs had to close in the first lockdown, and the demand shot through the roof because people were shielding and they needed food. And in 1 week, in May, 370 people came volunteering at that new warehouse, Bowlers, in Trafford Park, with 1,160 hours in just 1 week. And if you turn that into staff, that's 31 full-time jobs that you all helped us replace. And that's an amazing amount of support. And you can see that that's why we were able not to miss a single delivery all the way through. We could not have done that without all our volunteers. So now it's after first lockdown and the hubs have reopened, and just amazingly, you've all come back. You've all come back to the hubs to help us rebuild it into what it was before COVID hit us. And that's also great. And despite the fact we're in a second lockdown in Manchester, and we'll be in tier 3, and despite the fact that the weather is awful, 220 people came last week across the 33 hubs to help us pack, to create that welcoming atmosphere and get the food to our members. And that is just amazing. Maybe the most important bit of these numbers is the bit at the bottom. And between us all, we have done 105,000 deliveries this year so far. We've got a few more weeks to go. And that is the equivalent of 3 million meals. And that is just amazing. And so we want to say thank you to everybody who's played their part in that. Without you, there's no way we could have got that food to the people that we served, and people would have been hungry. So thank you.
Okay, sorry about that. That is fantastic news. Thank you, Jane. Now, with this being our virtual gathering and the way we would normally do things now, we would ask a number of our volunteers to come and talk to us. So with the powers of Zoom, we have 4 volunteers with us today that we're going to have a chat with. So I'm going to introduce them. And guys, as I introduce each one of you, would you mind just saying who you are, which community project you're connected to, and how you got involved with us? So Courtney, you were bright and early, so I'm going to let you go first.
Oh, thank you. I volunteer at the Zion Centre in Hume, and I think one of the people that works there was asking for volunteers on the Facebook, so that's how I started going, and I proper enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for that. We'll come to you in a sec with some more. Elaine, could you do the same for us?
Hi, I'm Elaine, and I'm just up the road from Courtney, actually. I'm at St John's Centre in Old Trafford, and I work at the centre, but I also volunteer on the bread and butter thing. And I've been involved in it from the beginning and helped to set it up at our centre.
Brilliant, thank you. And Julie?
Yeah, I'm Julie Davidson. I am the head teacher at Redhall Primary School, which is up in Darlington in the northeast. And we were one of the second schools within the Darlington area to take this project on board.
And last but not least, Steve.
Hi, I'm Steve Pinbow. I started volunteering with the bread and butter thing back in end of March, start of April. Initially started out as a volunteer coordinator, especially when I came furloughed. But when I got back to work, I've still supported in the odd driving job every now and then.
Brilliant. Thank you, guys. Now, Steve, I'm going to stay with you because I know you and I know I can actually pick on you more than the other 3. So I'd start with you. Because one of the things that has always been good to share with everybody when we've done such events in the past is what the volunteering has done for you, but also how you think or what you've witnessed as an impact of the volunteering and the bread and butter model.
For me, it sounds a bit selfish, but it was actually a bit of a lifesaver through the first lockdown for myself. I think certainly one of the things I established very early on, it's not just the meals that you guys provide, but it's also the social impact, whether you're in the hub or whether you was working in the warehouse. You know, they all brought that social impact to it as well. So you're more than just providing meals to people, you are providing social, as I said. For me, it's just been an absolute dream working with you guys. It's been probably the easiest thing to sell as well, to try and get the volunteers through the door.
Okay. And I'm sure there'll be lots of different kind of circumstances for all of this because we've got new and old volunteers as well. So Julie, I think as well as Courtney is, but we'll come to you first, Julie, you're relatively new to the bread and butter family. So could you talk to us about the impact that you've seen and the good or bad that it's brought to Redhall?
So we started with the bread and butter thing around about April 2020, which was absolutely at the height of a time when the community where my school is based really needed it. We were right in the middle of the national lockdown, and we had a number of families who were really struggling and isolated within the community. And at the time, it was just the school was open, and we ran it initially as a team of staff from the school because we couldn't get volunteers in with it being a national lockdown. So we had to bring on board all the staff team. So that was great. And it was great to continue that socialising with the community during that really difficult time, and looked at how we could support the wider community, not just our school community. So that was really valuable for us as a school. And then handing it over more recently, now we're back to full reopening the school to the volunteers. It's been lovely to see that build up of that community spirit with those families from the school and other people just in the local community coming in to the school every week to run this project. It's just been great, and it's just been, like I say, a real lifesaver for a range of different people for a range of different reasons.
Fantastic, thank you. Courtney, I'm going to go to you next. And I would imagine it's a completely different set of circumstances for you because you're at a Zion Community Centre rather than a school.
Yeah. Sorry, what were you?
It's okay. Tell me what you've seen about
Oh, yeah, but it's not been running very long.
Volunteering with us and the impact that you think you've seen.
It's not been running very long at the Zion Centre. It's only been open about 6 or 7 weeks. But it's been nice to sort of pack the bags each week. And each week there's more bags. So there's more people that come in each week and like come in. We're packing the bags for different hubs and ourselves. And it's just been dead nice each week to like see more and more people turning up.
So you like the social bit of it?
Yeah, definitely. I think I like talking to all the other volunteers, but then it's nice to have a chat with the people that are coming to collect the bags as well. Yeah, I really do think it is good.
And have you seen an increase during lockdown, Elaine?
I've seen an increase, yeah. It's been quite interesting. Our volunteers have been fantastic. I think we've been doing the bread and butter thing for about a year and a half. I was trying to work out how long it was, but I think it's about a year and a half now. And obviously, the way we do it has changed in lockdown, and we've had less volunteers. We're allowed to come in the first lockdown, and all our service was from the van and outside on the street. And we literally would have the whole street would put little crosses up the road so people could be socially distanced, and it just went right up the street. And people would come in like an hour and a half early just so that they could stand in the line and probably see other people and have that social interaction with people. So that was amazing to see. And it's so nice now that we've got most of our volunteers back and a couple of new ones, and we're packing the bags again we've moved venue, we've moved into the church next door because it's bigger. But yeah, and it's really nice to see people coming back to do that work now.
So, Elaine, just to stay with you a sec, because you pretty much run St John's, don't you? Where?
Some people might say that, but it's not true. I'm not the manager.
What I'm interested in is what have you seen many changes in the kind of lockdown? What's been the big impact in communities because of lockdown?
I think there's obviously there's more people who've been they've been asking about the bread and butter thing, just for a lot of people on furlough, a lot more people losing their work. We've got a lot of people in the community that are doing jobs like taxi drivers and things like that, and then working in warehouses and working in sort of entertainment industry and leisure sort of facilities, and there's no work and they're losing the jobs. And I think more people are coming to sort of try and get some support, maybe not every week, but they need that sort of extra support with food wise, because they've not got the income.
And I guess question to all of you then, I guess you're all feeling the same. You're seeing, Courtney, I think you said there were more and more numbers, and Julie, I guess you're seeing the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. Been an increase in numbers since we first started, and an increase in different people coming in as well. And it's a very similar situation. It's as people are out of work in different scenarios, more of them are attending because of that as well.
Okay. Well, it's a grim fact, but it just demonstrates how important the work is that all of you do. And to each one of you, we obviously want to say an enormous thank you. And thank you for coming on today as well and kind of sharing our little celebration. And I'm so sorry we can't all be together. As many of you know, we have been awarded the Queen's Award for Voluntary Services in 2020. And I have it here. I'm There you go. I'm delighted to introduce and welcome to you all Michael Greenwood, who is the Deputy Lieutenant of Greater Manchester, who is here to officially hand it over. And I shall, on that note, hand over to Michael.
Thanks, Mark. I'm one of quite a lot of deputy lieutenants. Actually, there's quite a lot of us. You've been given the Queen's Award for voluntary service, and that is a great honour. But I think just hearing what I have over the last 10 minutes or so, I mean, the contribution of volunteers in this organisation is extremely impressive. It's an organisation that depends entirely upon its volunteers, and it works very successfully. What happened was, a year ago, I came to visit you, Mark, and I wrote something up. It was quite a long format to fill in. But really what I've noticed is what's happened since. I don't think when we met, you mentioned anything about sort of territorial ambitions to sort of take on the Geordies or whatever. That's new, well done. And also the actual numbers, growth of volunteers, of meals and so on, extremely impressive. I mean, what I'm supposed to do is read out the citation. This is what went into the form. I apologise, first of all, for any inaccuracies in it. That's my fault. Of course, it's not really entirely up to date, obviously, because what you've done in the last 12 months. Anyway, this is what the citation said. This is what got you the award. The bread and butter thing was started in 2016 and has grown rapidly and successfully. It receives food from supermarkets, for example, Morrison's and Booths, interesting contrast there, and food manufacturers, for example, Kellogg's. The commodities are received at a central depot in Trafford Park, where they are sorted and stored as appropriate, including chilled storage. Vans driven by volunteers take the foodstuffs to one of 25 hubs. It's far more than that now, I realise, on one planned day during the week. There, volunteers transfer the goods to bags in 3 categories: fruit and vegetables, cupboard goods and fridge goods. Users who have registered as members of TBBT arrive on the planned day, having confirmed that they will be there, and receive 3 bags, one of each category, for a payment of £7. This is enough food to feed a family of 3, a family for 3 to 4 days. Single bags are available for single people. And this represents a saving of about £25 per week for a family. The project contrasts with regular food banks in that it is not aimed at crisis intervention, but rather helping individuals maintain more affordable lives, reflecting the high levels of poverty in the areas where they operate. There is also the factor of increasing the self-respect, which will be associated with making payments. And then there's a list of things which I thought were notable. The following points merit drawing out. In the last full year, so that's prior to last November, you had over 5,000 members receiving the equivalent of over 39,000 meals per week, much more now. The system does not only help people with affordable food, but reduces food waste, often sent to landfill. The hubs operate in community facilities located in areas of significant deprivation. This encourages interaction between residents and the greater use of these facilities. Members have become volunteers, some of whom have moved into employment. Surveys of users are conducted to learn about attitudes to TBBT and lifestyles and further needs. There is a high degree of financial security of TBBT, I hope that's still true, with grant support from private and public sources on top of the regular revenue from users. More expansion is planned, which was 5 new hubs in Oldham when we spoke. There is an emphasis on sustainability in all operations. A good example of this is the choice of vans. They use one model with high reliability and long life with maintenance plans. Hubs have assisted the development of new services. for example, mother and toddler groups and IT courses. TBBT is a creative and pioneering organisation which is helping individuals and families in deprived communities to eat better and live more economically, whilst reducing food waste and contributing to community development. It is based on the essential work of volunteers within a well-managed and well-governed charity. And that's the end, but I'd just like to add my thanks to what everybody's doing. I mean, it's so neat. It was so needed 12 months ago, but it's even more needed now. So very well done. I'm sorry, I just can't present you with a piece of glassware, but I suppose if that's what it is, I don't know, is it?
I have it.
Oh, you've got it, right. Excellent. So well done, and thank you.
Thank you, Mike. I'm going to hand you now to Paula, the chair of our trustees, for a quick word.
Thank you. Thank you, Michael, and thank you for your contribution in helping us to receive this award. I can assure you, if you filled out your application today, by next week it would already be out of date, so don't worry about that. It changes every week, and we are very financially secure, can I just add, for the record.
Excellent.
So I'm here on behalf of the trustees of the Bread and Butter Thing to officially receive the Queen's Award for Voluntary Service. But obviously it's not for us, it's for everybody, and particularly for our volunteers. And we are absolutely delighted and thrilled that we can honour the volunteers. We know the contribution they make, and we've heard some great stories. It always strikes me how passionate and committed and hardworking the volunteers are, and what a great sense of humour they've all got as well. I'm delighted to have met a few along the way, and they are amazing. We want them to know that as trustees we absolutely know and recognise that. I think it's especially significant that we've received the award this year. It's been such a challenging year, and the scale with which we've had to increase our services has just been, you know, we just never would have envisaged it at the beginning of the year, and we just could not have done that without the volunteers. And we all know that as trustees, we haven't missed any deliveries, which is just phenomenal. I happened to go to the new warehouse in Bowlers and was just struck by how vast it is, and it's like a slickly oiled machine, and everybody is just having a great time, and the spirit is just brilliant. So yeah, it's inspiring for us. So thank you so much, and it's brilliant to see what we can do with local communities. I think that's what comes out of this for me is the volunteers from the communities helping the communities, and what everybody achieves within those communities is just brilliant. And it's heartwarming, really. So on behalf of all of the trustees, thank you so much. We don't think that we don't know what happens and we don't appreciate it. We absolutely do, and we're just delighted that we can accept this award on your behalf, really. So thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you, Paula. Okay. So I guess it's left to me to tell you a little bit about what comes next. So 2021 for us is, as always, as we will say every year, it's more and more of the same but bigger. So that will mean more hubs, certainly more penetration into the Tees Valley and County Durham. We know that's going to happen. We know that we have further expansion in the Northwest. We know we're talking to other regions as well. So watch this space. But what I will tell you, because the one question I do get asked a lot is, will jumble sales be back? Yes, jumble sales will be back in 2021. You've heard it here. So one of the other things that we have done as well, as a huge recognition of our volunteers, is we put together a video because we wanted to show the world what our volunteers do for us and how we would like to celebrate that. And you've already heard from from Paula, and from Jane and myself and from all the team. All we can say to everybody that volunteers and plays a part in Bread and Butter is an enormous thank you. We genuinely could not do this without you. It matters enormously and is growing in need and in demand. The people that are stretched and struggling and are just about managing are sadly the new normal. So if you're on the YouTube channel and watching us now, at 5:30 exactly, the new video from the Bread and Butter thing. It sounds like a pop video, doesn't it? It's not a pop video. It's really not, but it is a lovely video. And it does celebrate our volunteers. And at this point, I think I would just like to leave you to go and find that and say, thank you so much for joining us. And I hope we can see each other in person really soon. And we'll see you in 2021.